And we're off. That's what I always say. Right, thank you for being here, everybody, on this cold night. Yes, it's lovely to see you. So tonight we're talking about the throat area of our energy system. Okay, so we've got, this is self-awareness, truth, expression. Everything I talk about is airing and sharing from the book The Choice Is Mine. So we go up different emotional areas of our body. So if people haven't seen me before doing this, my friends over there, each talk represents certain parts of our emotional and physical self. So I started on the base about change, then relationships, personal power, heart chakra. Some of you were here, that was pretty heavy, but it was worth going through. And then the throat chakra, of course, today is all about truth and fun. It's a nice contrast from this one that we just did with the heart. So it's all about how to focus on what makes you happy and what makes you joyous. And a lovely comment was made about me shining just now, which was really sweet, because the more I get into my inner child feelings, the more I shine, the more I get more energy, the more I can move through my day without any aches or pains, etc. So we lose track of our inner child because she gets buried underneath all the heavy stuff we've got to do, the work, the stuff that we have to deal with, the people we have to deal with. She kind of gets smaller and smaller sometimes, or the worry or the sadness in our lives. Sometimes you hear some bad news, inner child's sad. But we have to get that energy and we have to transform it. We have to stay high. Happy and high is what I call it. And you've got to keep yourself in a high place. So we've got a lot of things we're going to be talking about tonight. What happens, first of all, when this throat chakra area is shut, you find you'll get some imbalance. You'll either get a sore throat, teeth, gums, anything in this area that I'm holding now around my neck. It can be just dizziness or achy neck. You know, any of that area here, you know, thyroid, all sorts of conditions that can come from that energy being low. So you can see in that area alone, we need to be aware of our expression, our truth, our joy. Our joy is most important, because the more fun we have, the more this stays open. Now, I know some people here are in choirs, and I don't know, one person in particular. Anyone else that's been in a choir, definitely singing, even singing around the house, can really help to keep that open, okay? When you play in the snow, when you kick leaves in the autumn, you're opening this throat chakra. They're opening it with having fun and being focused on the moment. Not thinking about what's happening with him, her, it, life, paying the bills. For a moment, you're just having fun. And fun keeps you in a very good place with your energy in that throat area. So if anyone's got a sore throat or has any issues with this area of that body, you know your inner child needs more work. Some of you are wearing light blue scarves, which is really good. Wearing the colour really helps as well. Okay? So you wouldn't think that would make a difference, but they have proved, science has proved that wearing certain colours help to resonate with your own body's energies. I mean, I've noticed you're wearing a little red, so you're going to be fired up on the base chakra. I'm wearing green, I've noticed. That's what I fancied wearing. So that's for this area of my heart chakra. So that obviously needs to be looked at or nurtured. If you're wearing black, that's the transforming sort of colour. That's where you're moving into a stronger self. People think black's a bad colour, but it isn't. It isn't. It's about you finding yourself inside. And then up comes the colour afterwards, you know? So tonight is all about fun, and what fun do you have in your life? Some people sing, some people dance. When you dance, there's lots of evidence, and I'm always putting it up on Facebook. There's lots of evidence about when you dance, you just feel great. I mean, you've got more energy afterwards. You think you'd have less. But I remember going dancing after I've been joining a dance class recently, and afterwards, you feel so much better than you did before, you know? It's worth going out on a cold night for, you know? And they say it makes you live longer. Well, the reason why, of course, is because your body energies are working better, aren't they? Okay? So we've got quite a lot to talk about tonight, but that is a physical reason why you should be focused on having fun. Fun isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. It's got to give you the balance between your inner child and your higher self and all the rest of the things you want to achieve in life. You need to be able to have this balance. Yes, achieve with all the other things that you do, but have a moment where you don't care what the result is. I'm just going to go and have some fun for no outcome reason apart from that moment that you're in. So how many people do have fun in their lives? Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, sure I do. So it's,
What do you do?
I do a lot of cycling, walking, yeah, bit of rock climbing, whatever.
You do it on your own?
Anything. No, with others, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
I just love to go out in the outdoors.
Do you
in
laugh
adventure.
with it? I know, that's very
Thing,
good.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm practicing the laughter yoga and practicing that with my daughter.
That's what I thought. So laughter yoga, how does that work? You just get into yoga positions and giggle. So it's really important that we find something that balances our serious self to something that is more fun and in the moment. So be mindful of each other with that, because I mean maybe later on you can explain what that is to the rest of the group, but it is something you can be mindful of. Singing, dancing, playing. If you've got a dog, walking a dog, yeah, that's lovely, but have fun. And then the dog likes playing with the ball, you know. Well, children like playing, and what happened to us? You know, as we get older, we just don't. When was the last time you had a really good belly laugh? It's okay if you can laugh at yourself as well. We're going to do a bit of that later. Why am I looking at you? She makes me laugh just looking at her, she's giggling with me. So, yeah, so physically, emotionally, you're going to feel better, you're going to feel free once you start salsa dancing. Yeah, lovely. But you can have a giggle when you get it wrong. You don't have to take yourself too seriously. That's another thing we do, and that's what shuts us down. Our energy is shut down for lots of reasons. But taking ourselves too seriously, there's an awful lot of pressure on ourselves to get it right. Or you must say the right thing, you must do the right thing, you mustn't offend anybody. But really, we've got to be aware of what our feelings are, as well as so many others. I mean, how many people someone will bump into in the street, and we're the ones that say sorry, because we're so used to apologising all the time, and that's another issue. Think about what you're saying. Think about whether that person who's just bumped into you should be saying sorry. But no, we say it, of course we do. Because we feel that we're responsible for it. In actual fact, we crush ourselves down every time we do that. So we've got to be thinking about what our needs are, you know, and what our responsibilities are. Yes, be sorry if you've done something deliberately, but if you haven't, why say it? It took me a long time to learn that. I'd have to do it all the time. So, the way to find out if you're happy on the inside, if you're in a child, because your inner child and adult work really well together to make you well, to put petrol in the tank, if you like. You know, if you've got a lovely Porsche and you've got petrol in it, you are able to go places. You need to be in harmony with yourself, your child and your adult self, for to be able to achieve anything, to move forward. Otherwise, there's only like part of you with an idea of going forward. So it's really important we're aware of it. So how do you become aware of your inner child? Many people used to say to me, you've got some inner child work to do, you have. And I go, yeah, but how? How do I do it? And I had to work out different ways of finding out how to. How do I get myself into a place of awareness when I'm not really aware of myself at all? I wasn't aware of what I was doing myself any harm by ignoring my feelings. I just got on with life and wondered why I felt bad. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do some self-talk. And this was the first time I ever done this. And there's a guy called Shad Helmstetter, very strange name, I can't say it very easily. There's a book here I'm holding with his name on it, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Now, not many people talk to themselves, well, some people do. I've learned to do it. It's really good. Get a good conversation and an argument out of yourself. So, I was in the car when I first started doing, I'll tell you more about him in a minute. But I was in the car when I first started doing this. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give it a go. How do you feel, little Nan? So I pretended I had little Nancy sat in the seat beside me, so I could be aware of how I felt. And I thought, well, I thought I knew how I felt, but I didn't. And anyway, I had a word with her. How are you feeling, little one? And do you know what came out of my mouth? This is like from the subconscious of you, because you've got 3% we talk with, 3% of our consciousness, 97%, a huge, great chunk of our brain is subconscious. Now, when you do this self-talk thing with your inner child in the car or anywhere else, you are tuning in to your subconscious and you're letting that come out with whatever needs to come out. So I remember, if you've got a problem or if you just want to find out how you're feeling, you know, or how to support yourself, this is what you're doing it for. So how are you, little Nan? And I thought I'd be really okay. Sun was shining, I'm going down the road feeling happy. And little Nan said, I want a holiday. Wow. I thought that sounds a bit spoiled. But I don't need a holiday, I'm thinking. This I'm arguing with myself now, right? I don't need a holiday. I want a holiday, is what she said. I said, okay, I'll give you a week. I want 2. Okay, I'll sort that out. I'm thinking, I really don't need a holiday. But my inner child did. And I had no idea she felt that way. So I said, okay, I'll arrange it. So now I've got a purpose. I've got self-support, and I'm thinking, I'm going to arrange it. So I ended up going to France and all over the place that was last year. I wanted to make sure my inner child was happy. If we don't look after ourselves, then our inner children will do something to sabotage our well-being or situation around us. I know because I used to have it all the time. I was never well. Most of my adult time I had one condition or another, or I was feeling, always had a cold or felt ill or had some condition. I was always ill. I always had flu. I was always the one that was, in bed feeling sorry for himself. And it took me a while to realise that it was little Nan, that part of me that wasn't being recognised, that brought down my immune system, that gave me a reason to nurture myself so that I would have to be aware of my feelings. I don't need that now. So if I get any problem at all now, I just say to little Nan, all right, babe, you don't have to be ill for me to notice you. So next time you're ill, think, what do I need? What would my inner child really need right now? And once you get awareness of it, you can give it to yourself. If you can't give it to yourself, take the holiday for instance, you can compromise or at least give hope to yourself. Hope belongs in this throat area. Support does as well. Dreams do. How many people dream, allow themselves to dream? I want to do this, I want to do that. Aspirations. Not everyone gives themselves the opportunity. And they put things like money in the way, or circumstances, or family. They give excuses as to why they can't do what they need to do. A lot of people will follow their heart, and they'll go and do what makes them happy, and they go and explore, and it takes a lot of courage to do that. My friends in the corner there, exploring. Go to do something else. It takes a lot of courage to do it. And you feed your inner child lots of joy when you get what you want. And you move back, which is even better, because I've got you now. But the thing is, to have an adventure gives your inner child a purpose, a joy, an inner moment, satisfaction. You should congratulate yourself if you've got out your comfort zone and you've done something that scares you, because your heart felt you needed to do it. See? So it's worth it. So I quite often talk in my heart to my inner child, and it doesn't matter if I'm upset with something, I'd ask her how she feels about it. Being aware. If you think 1 to 10, how happy am I? And you can do this, I say when you're driving, because you're actually concentrating on the road. At least I hope you are. So you concentrate on the road. It's almost like you've got someone in the car and you're concentrating on the road, so you're not thinking too much about them. You're just letting it flow. That's why this exercise works for me there. But you can do this in front of a mirror if you need to. So you can do it when you're unhappy. How can I help you, inner child? What can I give you to make you feel better? You can do that in the mirror, or you can just say it as if she or he is sat next to you. And I know a lady who used to do this every day on the way to work and every day on the way back. It's an interesting thing if you were to try it the next week. If you don't drive, you can do it on your cycle, when you go on your bike, when you're walking somewhere. You don't have to do it out loud, it's okay. I would prefer you to do it out loud in the car, because then you hear the words and you hear the tone of your voice. But if you're walking and you don't want to do it in your head, you can actually just do that and hear yourself as well. Okay? So, yeah, I'm always doing it. And when I do, sometimes you never get what you think you're going to get from your inner child. You think you're okay, because you're only aware of this 3%. But you will be surprised what she or he says. Okay? Alright? And try it. Try it in the morning. How are you? What can I give you? Even if you don't know how to make that better, at least you can give yourself support, or laugh at yourself. Make fun of it, make it light. And instead of having, oh God, another bloody day, this is awful, more things to think about, more pressure. So instead of having those feelings, we can have a feeling of, it's okay, you get through this, and don't forget you've got that holiday next week. So you give yourself lots of encouragement. The actual guy, Shad, that I talked about from the book, he's a doctor. When I first glanced at this book, there's a story in it where he first started doing self-talk, and he thought, right, I'm going to do this in a very busy airport. So this airport was so busy, and there's not enough seats, and the plane's going to be delayed. So he decides to try and do the self-talk right there and then, but he's going to do it out loud. So he gets and sits in the chair, and he really wants to lay out because it's going to be a long delay. So he thinks, right. So, okay, Chad, how are you feeling, mate? He says to his inner child out loud. Well, actually, I'm really not happy. I've had to wait for this plane, and the little inner child starts to complain about how he feels about waiting. And then he answers him, and before you know it, you've got this interesting dialogue. Well, everybody moved away, and he got the 3 seats he wanted. He didn't have any trouble at all with that. But it was really funny. Yeah, you can imagine, can't you? I keep thinking of that every time I do self-talk. Yeah, so if you want to play that game, you can. Nobody's going to argue with you, I tell you. But you can remember that next time you want to try that, to see if you can tune into her or him, okay? But it does make me giggle every time I think of him. So it taught me how to be brave enough to do it. And even in the car, on my own, I still felt self-conscious the first time I did it. That doesn't make it, it's just a bit different, that's all. It doesn't make it wrong, just different. So if you can play with that and see how you feel, then you're going to listen, especially if you don't think about what comes out your own mouth. Do it for 5 minutes every day, or in the morning and the evening. Okay? See how you feel with that. So he did that, and I've got a story to tell you, but sometimes you don't know how we feel. We think we do, and perhaps if you're in the car and you think, well, I've had a word, I'm trying to talk to my inner child and nothing's coming out. And some people have said that to me, where they're so blocked in the throat chakra that they don't know how they feel. They just know they're not happy about something, but they don't know how to communicate with themselves. And the way round it is to think about this story. There was a story about a dog. He's like a big old hound dog. Sorry, it's all about dogs tonight, isn't it? I had this written down before you were here. But there's a guy going through a sleepy little town in America, tumbleweed place. And on the side of the road, there was a big hound dog, right, very big ears. And he's sat there next to his owner, and he's squirming, he's like really uncomfortable, and he's moving, and he's whimpering, and he's obviously in pain. And he keeps moving and crying. So the traveller says to the owner, what's wrong with your dog? He said, he's sitting on a nail. He said, well, why doesn't he get off? He said, it doesn't hurt bad enough yet. And it's a bit like us. I know people who I've had to say that to. How far up do you want the nail before you change your life? How far up? I mean, we sit in an uncomfortable situation or a feeling. How far up do you want it? We get used to feeling uncomfortable. And we've got to learn not to feel uncomfortable. We've got to learn how to address that. Be brave enough to hold that feeling up and go, actually, I want some change. I knew one guy who was very ill with cancer, bowel cancer. And he had a very bad relationship. And it used to make him feel insecure all the time. And I told him this story. And I said to him, how far up do you want the nail? And he went, I get your point, he said. I'm going to have to change my life. So they're no longer together, and he hasn't got cancer anymore. So it's like, I know I'm not saying that's the answer. I'm saying that he was unhappy. His body's energies were unhappy with a situation that didn't suit him. And so it's best to be aware of what physical conditions you have and ask your body or ask your inner child, why is it there? What are you trying to tell me? What can I help you with? I used to want to, when I got ill, all the time, I used to take the opportunity just to reflect and sit there and nurture myself, and what I used to call chicken soup days. Like if you were lucky, and I was very lucky as a child to have a mother who would cozy me up and put me in a duvet and with chicken soup and watch telly all day, and I had the most nurturing experience of support and love whenever I needed it. And quite often we don't give that to ourselves, or we don't give it to someone unless they need it. Every day you might think they're fine, but quite often they might be having that feeling inside that they need that nurturing. So that is when somebody once said to me, "You're only ill because you want nurturing, you want attention." "I do not," says I. "This is real." I didn't want to take responsibility for it at the time. So I had to realise that little Nan had something to say. She needed something. What does she need? And I'm going back to that again, because next time you get the slightest cold or anything else, ask your inner child, what is it? What can I give you? So, as I said before, if I get any niggles or any pains or anything, or the slightest cold, what can I give you, little Nan? What do you need? So it's a really good way to do it, is to be aware of her or him. Okay? You don't get taught this at school, so it's good for you to be aware of it. So it's our truth, our needs. You know, quite often we sacrifice our own needs if we think we've got to be there for other people, we've got to support each other, which is lovely, but don't forget that person inside you. Okay, it's important. So there's a thing I want to show you about our focus. You see, quite often when this throat chakra is shut, we don't have enough focus on our future. We stay in the moment, we just get stuck. We feel stuck. Okay, yeah? So this is a story about focus, really, and I want you to think about this. And you've got a little handout I've given you, or will give you, to remind you of this. But this is a true story about a friend of mine who wanted to take his mother out for dinner. Now, some of you may have heard this story before, but it's a nice one to remember. Because, as I say, where you focus in life is what you attract more of, by the law of attraction. So this particular story is about taking responsibility for which way you look in life and how you look at things, okay? Because you will attract more of whatever you're focused on. And I talk about this every single talk, so I'll elaborate on it in a minute. So he takes his mum out for dinner for her birthday, and he has a little minibus, and all the family are in the minibus, and they're on the way to Jamie Oliver's in Newquay, right? And they're having a great time, and suddenly the mother says, "I hate going out for meals. I always get the rubbish meal." "Really?" said her son. "That's because you expect it. That means she's ordering it, she's expecting it, her mindset says that's what she always has." "No, I don't," she said. "Yes, you do," he said. Anyway, they get to the restaurant, and everybody has ordered the special, which happens to be fish. And they're all having a wonderful meal, when suddenly up pops a voice. "See, I told you I get the rubbish meal. I've got the fish bones." "Wow," said my friend. "Imagine that. Of all the people on this table, you are the only person with the fish bones. Imagine if you'd have thought about something you wanted, not what you didn't want." And she didn't like that very much. But I have made up a little slogan. Don't focus on the fish bones. Focus on the wish bones. What do you want to happen? It is all a choice. You know, a lot of people expect bad things to happen because they've had them happen before. But if you can just stop that thought for a moment and realise that you have a choice that moment. I'm going to take my attention away from what I've always had. I'm going to move it over to somewhere else. I'm going to put it into a place of positive. And I'm going to imagine, just for a few seconds, that I get that instead of what I've always had. I've had a very challenging life. That's why I'm so positive now, because I had to turn it around and change it. And people look at me and they go, "It's all right for her. She's positive, she's okay, she's confident." I wasn't always. A few years back, I really wasn't. I've had to pick away at being positive. I'm going to do that bit. Even if it's only one tiny thing, it makes a difference. You know, you might not think it will make much difference to perhaps do a bit of self-talk. 5 minutes a day, that's not going to do anything if your life's feeling bad. But it starts a process of self-awareness. And that's going to be something that feeds you and helps to keep you well. Gives you the support you're craving from other people. You know, people need a hug. They need to be supported. We don't need to get sick to get it now, do we? Because we can give it to ourselves. You know, it's very important that we are playful. Playful as well. I mean, I know you're very playful. Because people, they fill their lives up with lots of things that make them happy and give them joy. But are they really happy? You know, you've got to have. When was the last time you had a belly laugh? When did you have a belly laugh? When did you watch I don't know, cartoons? Did you watch, I don't know, a comedian that made you giggle? When was the real last time that you laughed so hard that you were almost, I don't know, too aware of it, like 10 decibels? When was the last time? No one can really put their hands up, can they? Can you? Good. You did?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Stop laughing.
really? What was you doing?
I can't remember.
Oh, but you see, it's like when you play with laughter.
Something just tickled me and I just couldn't stop giggling.
Brilliant.
Something said or something happened.
Yeah.
Gave
But
me
you've all had those moments where for no reason or something, we just start really giggling and getting out there and just forgetting not caring who's listening. I was watching something really funny, a great comedian the other night, on my own in this room, and my son was next door, and you could hear me laughing so loud. And do you know what? It's so liberating to have a really good belly laugh, you know? Something we don't do enough of. And when the throat chakra is shut on the clients I work on, I get them to watch cartoons, get them to watch comedies, because laughter is really important. It makes us take ourselves less seriously. It takes the sting out of life. Gives you back balance, you know? You know, who jumps in leaves in autumn? Who splashes in puddles? Who is spontaneous? Yes! I thought you might. Because your child in you, you know, is wanting you to do that. Just don't think about the consequences unless it's dangerous. So, focus on the wishbone, not the fishbone. It is important. What do you want to happen? And if you didn't know what you want to happen in life, you could try making a list of everything you don't want. And then make a list of everything you do want. Throw away the don't want list. Because you might not even know. If I said to you, what do you want in life? Some people might go, I don't know. Just want to feel better. Well, okay, what don't you want is easier. I don't want that. I don't want to be without money. I don't want to be without whatever. Lack, normally, what we don't want. So if you were then to take all that and you put a list of all the things you want, then you're focused on what you want, aren't you? These are all wishbones. Do that for 17 seconds and you've made your body feel better. Now, whether you get that thing or not, you still had a direct effect on the throat area. Okay? Which is worth doing it for that. Now, by the law of attraction, which I go on about an awful lot, it's going to be what you're focused on, you are going to probably attract, unless your subconscious is waiting to sabotage it. There's a whole new story with that. But at least it gives you a chance. It gives you a chance to focus and maybe just forget, let go of, detach, and there it comes to you. I do it all the time. I do it for things I want. It's just pushing the easy button. It's just about focusing on what you want, not what you don't want. You see, if we focus on the bad things that we don't want because we're trying to survive them, and we're trying to direct our lives away from those things, then we're like a dog with a tail and wondering why we always have lack. Round and round we go, same pattern, same habit, and the pathway in our brain forms a pathway that stays in that habit. An expectation, like that lady did, we're going to do the same, naturally. Survival makes us do it. But this feeling of focusing on what you want, not what you don't want, when you start to see a difference in yourself, when you start to shine and you start to feel more energy, and a byproduct of feeling those things, you probably attract more good things into your life. You'll have more trust. You'll have trust in yourself and what you do for yourself. You'll have trust in life and where it's going. You know? That's really important. So I've got a very funny story to tell you. even about to tell you, my face is cracking up right now. This happened to me when I was about 25, and I'm 60 now. I'll be 61 in a couple of days. And they say I don't look it, but that's because I don't feel it. Okay? I don't feel it. I certainly don't act it, you know. Anyway, this happened to me when I was about 25, and I was a bit of a biker person then, and I had leather jacket, helmet, and I went to Littlehampton or near Brighton area, okay, with my partner. And the image of a biker is quite hard looking, isn't it really? But I was a soft person. Anyway, I go to the loos there, right, on the beach. And as I go to the loos, there's a whole load of coach parties arriving. Okay, now I'm in the loo, I've come out, and I didn't want to do my hair because I'm a biker girl. The hair's going to be everywhere anyway. So I goes to wash my hands, right, I'm going to get out, when a whole bunch of Scousers came in, and there's going to be about 10, 15 ladies came in, and they came in, and all they want to do is brush their hair and put makeup on. So they come up behind me, and I'm washing my hands, and I said these words. I said, "It's all right." I said, "You can have the mirror." I said, "You need it more than I do." I meant that she was going to use it and I didn't need it. Oh, well, you should have heard them. "Did you hear that?" She says to her friend. I couldn't speak. I had tears rolling down my face. I was in fits. I mean, what words could I have said that could be any better than that? "You need it more than I do." Well, they either thought I was very brave or very stupid, because they could have just beaten me up. But I remember just creasing up and leaving. That was the best thing I'd ever said that makes myself laugh, I've done loads of them, where I've been so, these are good things to remember, because what I'm going to remind you to do is get yourself a little book. When you go home, get yourself a little book, and this is a laughter book. This is all the things you've ever got wrong that you can laugh at yourself, okay? There was another time I went to Truro, and I had family with me, and we couldn't find at the time, we just moved here, we couldn't find the museum. So I thought, I'll ask the nearest person who's coming towards me. And there's a lovely young couple coming towards me. And I know I'm a bit dyslexic, and I say things wrong sometimes, but they come towards me, and I went, "Excuse me, do you know where the museum is?" And they said, "Sorry, no, we're not from round here." I went, "Duh." Nor do we. Why did I say duh? Nor do we. I said it, and I'm laughing. My daughter went, "Mum, you just called her stupid." Oh, it's so funny. I thought about it afterwards. I was saying, "Duh, aren't we stupid for not knowing we live here? And you don't." And of course it all came out wrong. So when I think about duh, if I was to put that in the book, I'd go, "Duh, nor do we." And I'd know what that means, and I'd giggle. Okay, so when you go home, all the stories that we're about to say, if we're brave enough, I'm going to ask you, Franny, the stories that we have or we hear about, or the stories from ourselves, if you could just put a one-line reminder in your book, you will smile. And by the way, when you smile, you send messages to your brain, releasing happiness hormones that make you feel good. And you're not, you're just naturally feeling happier because you smile. Okay? So when you're hearing these stories and you're smiling, you're making your body feel better. And you're making your emotions better. And you're opening up your throat chakra. Okay? So if you want to think about duh, nor do we, or you want to think about you need the mirror more than I do, which still makes me giggle, all those years later, it still makes me laugh. How could I have said that? So, I have got a funny story for you that will make you laugh, but have any of you got any funny stories that you'd like to share? I put you on the spot, didn't I?
Oh.
Things that you've done wrong, and you think, "Oh, how did I do that?" And you see, that's it about self-judgment. We haven't really got to judge ourselves. We can laugh at ourselves. We can just think,
Yeah, we've got one.
"Go on then." Go on
We
then.
went to Magaluf.
Hang on, yeah.
And
Say it a bit louder, Glenys.
we went to Magaluf
Yeah.
many, many years ago when we first met. And the road wasn't very well made. And we were absolutely paralytic, to be quite honest. We were really drunk.
Oh.
And I've got high heels on, and I've walked down this road which was all gravelly, and I said to Kim, "I can't walk any further, my feet are killing me, I've got to sit in the road." So sat in the middle of the road, and this coach comes round the corner, and I said to him, "I can't move, I'm not getting out the road, I just can't walk any further." So the coachman and one of his helpers had to actually lift us up and get us out the road and pop us on the side of the pavement so the coach could carry on. There's all this coach full of all these people like moaning at us and everything.
Oh
But,
my goodness.
yeah, it's just,
And you'll never forget that.
no, it makes us
No.
smile, and I think they thought it was quite funny seeing those two.
English people.
Yeah, we were quite harmless, we weren't poisoning any
They might have thought you were protesting.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But when we make mistakes, or when we have moments like that, I mean, when we think we've made mistakes, we never really have.
No.
But when we have situations where we think, "How could I have done that?" You know, it is funny. It's good to be. I think you nearly told a story to someone. Someone was saying something. So if you've got any more funny stories, please share them. Go on then.
Eden project on Saturday morning with
Yeah.
my granddaughter. I was taking some photographs. And she went, Mother, have a look at the photo. I said, well, we see them later, darling. You know, we just carry on enjoying stuff. And we've got them later. Oh, can I see it now? I said, yeah, sure, darling, okay. So instead of taking the outshed photo that I've just taken of her, I had one of a chimpanzee on there. I showed it to her. And obviously, that was hilarious.
That's her. Yeah, that's you.
My brother sent it to me previously because he knows I like monkeys and he was joking to me about this monkey. So when the little one asked me, I showed her that one. It was so funny.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
So we really exaggerated our laughter. It was going on for ages.
You see, there's loads of stories. If we start thinking about them, you can, if you find someone else's story funny, then put it in a book to remind you. And there's loads of them. You know, comedians have this stuff all the time. They just take everyday situations and turn it around and exaggerate them, and suddenly you're creased up. You know. There's a funny story one of my lovely friends told me when I said about this. He always had his throat chakra shut, and he had a condition with his thyroid and everything because of it. So I said, I want you to tell me a funny story, and I want you to put this funny story in a book, and think of them after you go leave me, okay, you know, from the session. So he said, okay, and before he even had a chance to really explain it, he's creased up laughing. Tears are rolling down his face before he's even told me the story. And it's big, and you're going to love this. So he told me when he was a kid, he's about my age, and when he was a kid, he was in a little gang. So he must have been about sort of 12 or something, you know. And there was a little runt of the litter, if you think, little kid that everyone used to pick on in this little group of friends, in this little gang. So this little kid had had enough. They were outside playing, and he had enough of them all picking on him. So he decided to get this stick, and he put it into some dog shit, and he picked it up, and he chased them all down the road, shouting, shit stick, all the way down the road. They couldn't run fast enough, and to anyone looking at them, there's this little kid running along with a stick, and all these bigger guys running away from them, you know. He was in fits of laughter. I don't know, it was just so funny. And it's worth that laughter all those years later. To boost his energy, to make him happy, you know? Yeah, just imagine it. I've got this image in my head.
I pooed in a hole once.
Did you?
From the sweets down there. And my friend come knocking at the door and she was like, it works. I said, what? She's always put the hands down that hole that you pooped in the sweets. I don't know, we were laughing. I said, what's that? And my friend's like, pooped down a hole. Get back up there stairs.
How old were you?
I was about 10.
Oh, I was going to say, it wasn't
No, I
much
was probably
recently.
about 8. No, about 8. I wasn't as old as 10. About 8.
But
We had
as
a
a
boys'
kid,
den and a girls' den, and we used to hide our bits, and the boys kept stealing it, so we thought we'd teach them a lesson.
Oh no! That is so funny. I mean, that is one of the greatest stories I've heard. It's lovely. Brilliant. It's so good. And thank you for sharing that. I thought she was going to tell me it happened last week.
When I was little, so we had the police had to come out once because I was selling flowers for my dad. And I had a little tub with my money in the marigolds, and I decided I needed a poop for £3 So I put them down, I went to the toilet behind the garages, and then I went to go and get my money, and picked the tub up, because I got halfway down the road thinking, oh, I've left it there, ran back, and the £10, and this is in the 80s, so £10 was a lot of money then, had gone.
Oh.
So I went back to my dad and had to tell them what I'd done. And I was like, I'm sure this boy, because he was following me around while I was selling them, and he was the naughty boy. And my dad phoned the police, and I had to go and tell the police.
No.
They had to write a statement. And I found out that this boy not only did he follow me around, but he followed me around to the back of the garages.
Oh no!
Watch me go. Take my money.
Oh my god! Oh, that's so funny. You see, that is brilliant. Has anyone got anything better than that? I bet bet you, after you leave here tonight, you'll think of so many. You will think of so many. It's just hilarious. You've got to pick, even in the most tragic moments, you can find something funny, you know? I remember once in an argument with my ex-husband, and he was having a real go at me, and he was going to leave and walk out the door while he picked up his trainers, right? And his trainers were white. And as I'm trying to reason with him, as you do sometimes, he puts his trainers over his ears. And he's sticking up. And he's saying, I'm not listening. I'm not. Well, I just creased up. I said, you're an ass. You couldn't argue after that, could you? I think you would like to have done, but I can never get that image out of my head. It will be there forever. And if ever I thought of the hard moments in that marriage, I will always think of, I'm not listening. It was priceless. I should have had my phone out to take a recording, you know? Brilliant. And it might seem like silly, but they're all private, funny things to us. And it's about self-acceptance as well. When you tell your funny stories, you think, did I really say that? Did I really do that? You know, there's so many funny things. I should have written down more, actually, because I'm sure I've got more. I'm always doing funny things. You know, but it's good to remember them and think, well, it's okay to get it wrong or to not be perfect. You know, we all think ourselves, oh, we've got to get it right, we've got to present ourselves well. You are amazing for saying that, because, I mean, we have to be honest enough with ourselves and go, we're not perfect. We don't have to behave well all the time, do we? So that is something you should remember. Shit stick as well.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Sort of boy, yeah.
You do that, and then you came up with a story. Shit comes up a lot.
I said to, yeah. It wasn't the thing of the evening, but at the moment, it is quite funny. I mean, it's something we don't really say enough about, you know. It could be anything, though. I mean, I'm sure there are more stories in you if you want to tell them. So if you feel free if you want to. But I think it's all the silly little things in life that make us happy. You know, we look back and all those years later, you're still laughing.
I wasn't at the time. It took a lot of years.
Oh. Yeah, but it's happened, doesn't it? I mean, it's all sorts of funny things, like you watch someone, the slapstick humour we have. If you watch someone fall over, we're supposed to be concerned, but how many of us laugh? You know, instantly, we see the funny side of something, unless they're really hurt, you know. It's just one of those things. But we do it naturally also as a defence as well. If something really bad happens, sometimes people laugh at it. You know, they don't really have how to respond to a heavy situation, so they just laugh. The Dalai Lama laughs a lot. When I went to go and see him a few years ago in London, he chuckles all day long. He finds something to chuckle about. He giggles and chuckles, and even though there are serious things that are on discussion, and he's done a lot of that, there is always a chuckle in between, because he chooses to be that way. He chooses to look at life that way. There's a story I like to tell about, and I do believe this is, I mean, as far as I know, this is a true story. And it's a man, actually I haven't got it on here, I should have put it on here. This story is called Happy as Larry, and it's one of my favourite things I tell people. Larry was a man who owned a restaurant in America. And he was always happy. You know, people loved going to see him for the food, but they really loved him because he made the place so happy. When they said, how are you? He'd go, if I was any happier, I'd be twins. He was always so happy. And one day, he was in there on his own, and some robbers get in the back door. And they come in and they hold him gunpoint to get some money out the safe. And he's so nervous, he's trying to get the money out the safe, and he slips and they shoot him and they run off, and he's now laying in a critical condition on the ground. And eventually his friends came in and found him. He was really on death's door. So the ambulance men come and got him, they rush him to hospital, and they get them in there, and he's going to do immediate surgery, and the surgeon says to him, are you allergic to anything? And he goes, yes, bullets. And they're all laughing at him. And even then he's positive, you see. He's choosing to be positive. So then he said to them all, I want you to operate on me as if I'm going to live, not die. It's a strange thing to say, isn't it? But when you're saying that to someone, you're setting the intention. It's all about intention. And setting the intention, Okay, that's what he's going to do. I want to live, not die. He's choosing to live, and he's reminded all of them, that's what I want you to focus on. So they did. They did the operation, and he lived. Yes, he had some more wounds from it, but he lived. And when his friends said to him, "Oh, Larry, it must have been awful. You poor thing. What was you thinking when you were laying on the floor? You know you were going to die." He said, "I chose, I was thinking I choose to live, not die. I chose to live because I focused on what I wanted. If I focused on, oh, I might die, then his body would respond to that as well. Your physiological self responds to your thoughts. And Larry, well, he just chose to live. And now, even now when his friends say to him, after his terrible ordeal, how are you feeling? If I was any happier, I'd be twins, he says. And that is an attitude that helps your body stay well, and your emotions stay well. It's not easy to be positive, but once you start doing it, it becomes a habit that you literally form in your pathway of thoughts. Your brain creates that new road, that new pathway. And it feels weird to worry. It feels weird to think negative. It doesn't feel comfortable to go down an old pathway. And the more you do it, the more natural it feels. So it's like having a junction box on a train track. And at first it feels like effort. I've got to change my thoughts. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. And occasionally you might go back to the old track. But, negative, complaining, that sort of thing. You'll feel that's wrong. You'll feel that's not really making you happy. And it will feel worse for a moment, and you'll want to go back to the new pathway that you've just created. That's your choice to do that. It's not circumstantial. It's not about whether you get that, or he gives you this, or they give you that, or what job you've got. That is not making you happy. You might think it does. It's just an easy life. But if you can choose, despite what your situation is, despite what all your circumstances are, you can choose to be as happy as Larry. Even just saying it will make you happy, because you'll remember. He had a sense of humour when he was laying on that table, I'm allergic to bullets. I love it. It's fun. I mean, how many people would be quite the opposite? He had a very strong intention. The more you do it, the stronger your intention will be, the more your brain automatically does that. You reprogram yourself. After all the years of expecting it, the fish bones. We don't have to have fish bones if we focus on what we want. So even in the most awful situations, if you're losing your house, or you're losing your money, or business happening, or whatever, focus on what you want to have, what you can do, or what you can imagine your dreams to be around that. Yeah? So if you can get yourself a little book, and you start putting in all these funny stories that you've heard today, and stories that you personally can remember, and perhaps are too embarrassed to say, unless someone is a wonderfully brave. But you can. Well, I mean, I'm only thinking of a couple, but I'm sure there's more I've done. And if you can think of all the things that you've done, and did I really do that? Then that's going to make you giggle and smile. If you think, on the way back, think about all these funny things. And then the next meeting, perhaps you can always tell me about those. Or just, if they're too embarrassing, put them in your own book, one-liners, okay? Because that's really good. So, yeah, our emotions are a bit like a balloon, okay? So I always talk about this being, if you're feeling down, or you're feeling worried about something, or concerned, I like to cross out that word worry and replace it with concern. But you're a bit like a balloon on the ground. And the balloon is just laying there. It can't fly, can't have fun, you can't bounce it about. Your emotional balloon is laying flat on the ground. You need to be happy and high. And you need that balloon high, and it doesn't matter what's going on around you. You stand a better chance of handling that situation if you're physically and emotionally happy. Because that will stand you in good stead. It will give you a better energy. It will give you more opportunities to attract good things into your life because you're in a happy place. Because if you're not in a happy place, you're always on the ground, attracting more ground, attracting more things to keep you on the ground, because that's the way law of attraction works. And we expect it, and it's worse if we expect it, because then it's always going around in the same place. I did this for many, many years. I did it on lots of subjects. Oh, not enough money. well, I've got to have this or no job or something. And you're perpetually going round and round in the same circles with no balloon up in the air. So, what I've got for you, first of all, this is about setting the intention, but in a childhood way, okay? When you have birthdays, you have candles and you blow them out and you make a wish. That's a very childlike thing to do, isn't it? It's also setting the intention. So, these are open, by the way. I'm going to give you some of these. They're open lids, though, so don't get messy. So what these are bubbles, little tiny pots of bubbles. And bubbles are a very good reminder. How many have we got there? 4, 5, 6. Have some bubbles. And they're really little, but as I say, the lids are off. Be careful, girls.
Any preference on colours, girls?
So what we need to do, and I want this straight away, this is going to make you feel giggly and silly and young. Okay, how many have we got? Okay, have everyone got bubbles? Okay. Right, so, you've got your bubbles yet? You have? Yeah. Okay, everyone's got some bubbles. Now, I know plenty of people, once they've done this exercise, they want to get themselves some bubbles. Go to Asda and buy yourself a great big pile of bubbles, you know. Don't care, different colours. What colour do you fancy today? Right, so I want you all to think yellow. Think of something you want. Think of a wish. Think of something, if you can't think of something you want, think of something of a feeling that you want. Okay? So I want you to all to think of something and then blow your bubbles. Come on, make a mess. Don't do it in your coffee cup. Yeah. So make a wish. Your intention has just set that wish in order. Okay, it's now starting to work.
Just hit the floor.
Oh, that's okay. You managed to travel it though. So you're making a wish. You're blowing your bubbles, and you're concentrating on a thought that makes you feel good, right? Yes. So think of something you want. Think of a feeling you want to feel, even if it's just love, comfort, a situation, more money, relationship, success, any of those things that you think you want. Now make a wish and bring it true. Are you losing them? You're getting them?
She's got
I know.
I'm sharing them.
Great, well done. Fantastic. Yeah, you see, it takes an act. That's all your hopes and dreams floating in the air right now. You're setting the intention with an action. This action of blowing bubbles is giving you an awareness of what you want. When you do an action, such as blowing the bubbles physically or blowing them out, it has a change inside your adrenal levels. It makes you calm. It helps you to feel happy. This is the solar plexus area of your body. When you're doing an action, you feel in control. When you feel in control, you feel trust. So when you're doing this, you've got hope, trust, happiness, all those feelings, and you're playing with them. You're allowed to blow them on each other. Go on then, on each other. Come on, you know it's fun. It makes sense. Come on, have more fun. He wants another one.
Oh, I've got a big buckle of this at home.
Oh, for your children,
My
yeah.
grandson.
Oh, it's for the cats, really.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Well, what's wrong with us playing? Your cats can play, and your kids can play. But how many of you used to play with bubbles when you were a kid and you stopped doing it? I expect the bubble sales in Asda to go up now. So make a wish. It gets easier and easier as you go along, and you get sticky fingers. Brilliant. Yeah? Cool. Absolutely brilliant. So to remind you of your balloons, I have got loads of balloons for you to play with. So, but also to remember that you and your energies, your emotional energies, are about these balloons, okay? So you can play with these now. Okay. Time to be silly. Time to be silly. I want you to play. So I want you to get silly and play with your balloons. There's lots of them. I want you to deliberately spontaneous feeling. Yes, it does. And you can kick them around.
I thought we were going to draw
bounce them around like children and see how much fun you can have. What you're doing is raising your happiness hormones and your serotonin. Here you go. Right. Well, I was waiting for one of those to well, that's just makes you feel really good.
And I bet it made you jump with her.
That's why I did extra. Right, another minute of that. How do you feel? How do you feel, eh? But balloons are not just for children, okay? So I have got extra balloons for everyone to take a balloon home, right? So you can choose your balloons in a minute. Right, so you can either hold on to them or just leave them there for a minute, but you're going to have more balloons to take home, so you can all choose. It's just to remind you, in psychology they call it external context cues. Something external context cue. That's what they call it in psychology. I've done that. So this is a physical thing I'm holding. It's a balloon, and it is, for those who can't hear me on there, see me on there, the balloon is a physical thing to remind you to be mindful of your inner child, to be aware of how do you feel. So you could get a helium balloon with a big smiley face and leave it somewhere in your house, look at it and think, how do you feel, babe? This is me, happy and high, being silly, being spontaneous, throwing it at the cat, I don't care. Have some fun. Well, you don't have to. But when was the last time you played balloons? Unless you're lucky enough to have children around, you don't remember you were a child. If you've got kids around, grandchildren, or anyone who's got children of their own, you're lucky because you can see how they play in the moment. And they get exercise while they're doing it, so it makes you feel even better. That's another thing that produces more hormones, happiness hormones in your body. So balloon is a good thing to have, something to remind you of yourself. When you're in the car, when you're walking, to summarise this, just think, how do I feel? If you don't know, 1 to 10. 10 being really happy. If you measure up past 5, you're doing all right. But there might be something that upsets you in a child that brings her down under 5. See? Not difficult. Once you've got that in your mind, you can think, that's what I'm going to be aware of. What number are you, little Nan? Little Nan might say 5. Oh, what stops you being a 10? What is the problem? Well, actually, and then you've got this explanation you can support yourself with. That's not difficult when you start doing it. So what number are you is another good way of understanding how she feels. But I bet you feel better after doing your balloons, don't you? Yeah? So now we're going to stand up and we're going to do something that raises our energy up and reminds you that you are a bit like your own balloon that you're going to hold. So stand up, everybody. And we're going to say, I feel good, I feel good, I feel good, I feel good, I feel great together, okay? Because what you're doing is setting the intention. You're setting the intention and you're going to make some noise, which is good for you, okay? All right? And it's good fun. So you've got enough arm room? You can move around if you like. Oh, yeah. Okay, right. Say with me, everybody. I feel good, I feel good, I feel good, I feel good, I feel great. Lovely. That's a bit like turning the dial up from 1 to 10. Should we do it again? See if you can be the loudest. Like children in a party. Right, okay. Ready? I feel good, I feel good, I feel good, I feel good, I feel great. Lovely. Now that was easier to do the second time than it was the first. And you can even do it silently. If you didn't want to make a big fuss in the morning and frighten all the people around you, you could do it at work. If you didn't want to be that obvious, you can do it in your mind or you can do it silently. You can do it before you get out of bed without any movement. Imagine turning the dial right up to 10. Okay? That's what you can choose to do. And your brain is listening. 97% of your brain is going, okay, I feel good. And you might not feel good on that 3%. You might have anything wrong with you, or you might have the weight of the world on your shoulders. But I feel good is what your brain is listening to, and it's going to help you create that. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here.